Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, ladies, for standing. I have two ladies in the back standing up already. That's motivation. Let's find out where they're from, promote them. In 1973, after graduating from high school, I had some choices to make in life. See, no member of my family had ever attended a college or university. My dad was a World War II veteran that came home. He learned from the Seabees how to operate heavy equipment, how to work on them. He became a diesel mechanic. His workforce training took place in the United States Navy. Now, a lot of men of my dad's age at that time had received the same type of training. It was a little bit different than going to a community college or Jones Junior College. See, their training took place under fire in the South Pacific and the Marshall and Quasimodo Islands as they were island hopping towards Japan. I would say that is on-the-job training. See, my dad would tell of the times that as they came ashore with the bulldozers, they would keep the blades up as bullets would bounce off of them. It was the Seabees and the Marines going ashore that saved America. So they came home and they tried as best they could to teach their children that work ethic. I don't ever remember my dad missing a day's work. I don't ever remember him being late for work. I don't ever remember him complaining about going to work. You see, in those days when they worked on diesel trucks, there was no air conditioning shops. It was hot, tough labor. But I learned so much from him as I would go to work with him on Saturdays. You know, Saturdays you'd have to work half a day. That's right, we actually worked 5.5 days. It was customary in those days, and he really appreciated if he had an opportunity to work overtime. Y'all remember that term. Why was he excited about that? Time and a half. Yeah, you got paid your salary plus another half if you worked overtime. So when Mom got that call in the afternoon to let him know that Dad would be working late, we only had one automobile, so we'd have to go pick him up and bring him home. She was excited of hearing the possibility because the economic model in our household was very simple. My dad would work all week, bring a check home Friday night, and Mother would go buy groceries, pay the rent, pay the utilities. As soon as we got old enough, the boys, 3 of us, would find jobs of our own. And so as I graduated, there was an idea of what would I do in life. I was working then for a company called Big Ten Tire Company. That's right, I was changing tires 5.5 days a week. Now that's a character builder. So I got this small card, it was just a postcard, in the mail one day, and it said, "You too can go to college, Hines Community College." I decided after changing tires all summer that I would get in my 55 Chevrolet and drive to Raymond, and I did, and as I was making my way back home, I realized I was going to be a college student. I found a job at Western Auto at the warehouse, loading trucks at night and going to school during the day, and loved every minute of it. The idea that my mother had a child that was in college was so exciting to her, she went around and told all the relatives and all the friends. Yeah, I was a college boy. You see, in our blue-collar world, that made all the difference. I never dreamed of going to a university. I didn't have an automobile that would make it as far as one of our fine universities. But you see, what you're able to do is continue the work of finding young men and women like your governor and continuing that tradition of finding them an opportunity to have a skill training, to be prepared for college. And as I left Hines Community College, I realized that those hours would transfer. I learned that to University of Southern Mississippi, and then as I finished there as an adult with a job and one child and one on the way, I completed a master's degree. Now that will change your life. I had a wife that supported the opportunities that we had of continuing our educational opportunities. I met her at Hines Community College. I tell Dr. Muse I got an education and a wife from Hines Community College at about $350 a semester or the semester. Now we face the same challenge that I did as a young blue-collar child that had never been on a university campus, didn't know how to find a community college, wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do in life. I thought I wanted to be in law enforcement, and when I got to Hines and found out they had a police science department, I knew that's what I wanted to do. See, now we have a new generation of young people that are graduating from high school, some under great challenges. I'm national chairman of Jobs for American Graduates, national chairman. This is a 3-year commitment. It is not one taken lightly. It is a difficult job being chairman of a national organization, but I enjoy it so much because 94% of the time, we just issued a press release the other day. You didn't read it because the media won't print it, but 94% of the time when JAG intervenes with a child at risk in high school, we are successful. 94% of the time in getting that child, this is an at-risk child, of getting them out of high school. About 72% of the time we're successful in getting them into a community college or onto a job. What you do is so important to the lives of those young men and women. We must train our future generation, have them prepared to go on to an institution of higher learning or to find a good job. Now, in our days, at least I had the great benefit of having parents who taught a work ethic. I was expected to be there on time. I was expected to give a good day's work. I was expected not to complain. I was expected to make sure that I had the training necessary to complete my job. My mom and dad stayed married 52 years, so I also was expected to do something unusual, get married before I have children. I know that's a radical concept, but that's the way we used to do it. It worked out pretty well for hundreds of years. Now, as we work so hard trying to deter teenage pregnancy, because that young lady in particular that has that child trying to go to one of your workforce training programs has even more difficulties, even more challenges. But as they come to you, I can understand to some extent how difficult that will be. Many of them did not have the opportunity that I had to have 2 parents at home, both of which were encouraging. They didn't have 2 older brothers that went to work early in life, neither of which had the opportunity to attend a college. But I saw that work ethic in both of them and realized how important that was. Many of them do not have an opportunity to meet the perfect wife at their community college, and going to be married now 39 years in December. But whatever their challenges are, we must find solutions for them. I just have a theory. And just yesterday, I was out of state talking to a CEO of a company that's here in Mississippi, and we want them to expand and enlarge and bring their headquarters here. And he was lamenting over the fact that it was difficult to keep a workforce when they were innovating, when their new line came on, because now it's not so much mechanical as it is programming. There is a computer at their assembly line and their manufacturing facility, and they type in the information necessary for the automation to be able to complete the manufacturing process. And so as they move from the manual manufacturing process to automation and robotics, many of their workers were unable to adjust. It's sad because many of them moved on. He said he has trouble with a lot of them getting to work on time and passing their drug test. So he has to dismiss many of the workers because they just simply will not come to work. They seem to be unable to refrain from using drugs before they come and receive a drug test. This is heartbreaking because my theory, as I said, is we had my generation, many of which were raised in a 2-parent household, had seen hard work, had understood the benefit of having a job. And so we were easier to train. Just a theory, in large part, not everyone, but we were easier to train. Today, you're dealing with a different population. I hate to sound like my parents. The other day I was talking to, someone about this, and he said, those kids nowadays, and those kids have been around, that slogan, for quite some time now, those kids. Well, those kids are our kids. And that is the population that we're working so hard to help, whether it's Job for American graduates, to get them out of high school, whether it's teen pregnancy prevention programs, whether it's financial assistance as often as we can to help that young blue-collar kid get into one of your training programs. But you see, now that population oftentimes has not had that example. You see, I'm from the Mississippi Delta, Sunflower County. Unfortunately, we have children there that are in the third generation of never seeing a parent come home from work. So your training is so much more difficult, but so much more important. Dr. Mayfield is so pleasant to have at the leadership of the community colleges. She does a remarkable job. When we first met, we talked about workforce training. We talked about the fact that the legislature, after my request, the second year that we asked them, was putting $50 million into workforce training. We're going to have $10 million more funds going into community college workforce training this year, and another $5 million for every year thereafter, as long as those revenues come in. Because what we've done is there's a 26% less demand on unemployment payments in the state of Mississippi. Because unemployment just now is about 5.9%. It was 9.4% when I came into office in 2012. So we got more people in the workforce. But we need more. Joe Mack Higgins is going to talk to you today. You couldn't find a better guy to talk about workforce training. He knows the importance of having a trained workforce. Because as Continental Tire came into Mississippi a year ago, as we were going to Germany, as we were looking at being one of 11 states that Continental Tire was looking at as far as building their largest plant in North America. A plant that will provide 2,500 jobs in the Hinds County area. Joe Max knows about Yokohama Tire that looked at 28 different states before coming to Mississippi. These middle skills that are so important for working in those in the automobile industry, today we make almost 500,000 automobiles in the state of Mississippi. There's a constant demand. Joe Mack Higgins is one of the best economic developers in the state of Mississippi. And the first question he will get from every company that comes to the Golden Triangle and works with the link is, what about your workforce? It is everything to a company. When they come in and spend more than $1.5 billion, now $1 billion is $100 million. I had to look that up. So if they're going to spend $1.5 billion, they need to know that they can find 2,500 people in the state of Mississippi, particularly in the central Mississippi Hinds County area, that can operate the innovative systems of Continental Tire. At Yokohama, you never touch the tire. It's robotics, it's automations, it's computers. Now, I know you're doing a great job, and many of us would not be here today. I would not be here today without Hinds Community College. Without the community college system, I would have, I'm sure, gone about finding a job in the automobile industry. I'm still a pretty good mechanic. Still have that 55 Chevrolet. It's parked at the garage at the mansion right now. I work on it quite often. I never lost that desire to be able to accomplish things. I'm a pretty good tractor operator. The kids that you now, the students that you now bring in, we're trying through early workforce training, beginning at early childhood education, before they get into kindergarten. We installed the third grade gate. That's another radical concept. It actually says you have to read on a third grade level before you can be promoted to the fourth grade. That's a wild idea, I know. But it's working so well, our fourth graders led the nation in the growth in reading and math last year. You don't get to read that a whole lot. It's working so well that the Education Commission for the states, the Commission on Education for the states, the governors, all 50 governors' Education Commission, awards each year the Frank Newman Award. It is the Heisman Trophy for education for the most innovative state in America. The state had innovated public education more than any other state. This year in 2016, Mississippi won that award. I took that beautiful award to the Neshoba County Fair the other day and held it up because I wanted them to know and wanted you to know you won't read about that. To the best of my knowledge, not one member of the press has reported on the fact that we were selected as the most innovative education state in America. I often try to remind them that Wallet Hub says that we have the #1 community college system in America, the best community college system in America. So good things are happening. We're going to go out and bring in more demand. We talk with companies every day, and Joe Max is at the point of that spear of bringing in more economic development, more manufacturing, more jobs. Now, we're going to ask you to do all the training that you can to help fill those factories and workplaces and businesses and headquarters with a trained, educated, well-qualified workforce. If you will help us do that, you will see a remarkable state, a change in Mississippi that people thought could not happen. It is happening every day, and you are a part of it. Thank you for having me, and welcome. God bless you.